Yeah, so we are, okay, recording now. Peace and love, everybody. My name is Cassie Map Ahmed. I am the CEO and founder of Village Sis Doula, LLC. I am so honored today to be with my sis, Sierra. We're going to speak today we're going to speak a little about doula work, how important it is, and what we need support for as a melanated doula, especially during this time of COVID. I am a sister in the village that's a doula, and there's a lot of sisters in the village who are doulas of birth work and specialize in different areas. As a doula, I provide physical, emotional, and spiritual support. I do not provide any type of medical services as a doula. I'm a health coach, a postpartum doula, fertility doula, bereavement doula. There's so many different things, but we're going to speak about that so you will be informed of your choices of the different types of doulas that are available. I'm also a health coach, and I also mentor other doulas who look like me are interested in becoming a doula. It's very important for you to be knowledgeable, to be informed in order to make informed consent decisions. It's not informed consent if you're not informed. Education is very important, and being empowered to stand in your truth and speak your truth. So no longer am I going to delay. I would love my village sis Sierra to introduce herself too as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sierra Bizzell. As my beautiful sister Cassie has said already, and I am a birth and fertility doula. I am also a health coach, just like Cassie, and a master herbalist. And most recently, I became a Reiki practitioner. I'm really excited about that part. Yes, so I wear a lot of hats, but my passion is helping birthing persons and those that want to become parents. And I am just excited to be here today.
Yes, I'm so glad to have you here. And a lot of things we mentioned, a lot of people are not clear, like, what is that? I'm also a herbalist. I love growing herbs. I also do belly binding and know the traditional ways. I love to have mentors in different countries and bringing our culture back. Did for our mothers, what our granny midwives did. Bringing back is very important. So Sierra and I, we both have expertise in different areas, and some areas are similar. So I do, as we're discussing, I do want to also give light to what some of these things mean. Now, I explain a doula. A doula provides physical, emotional, and spiritual support. We don't catch babies, but we assess these trained medical professionals to catch the babies. We provide the support to the mother, but not only the mother, the father, and the family. It truly takes a village, and we have a village of support out there. So Village says, I'd love for you to explain a little bit about Reiki. What is
Well, it is energy healing. And, you know, those people that grew up like me in church learned that you can lay hands on people and it will heal them. And it's a part of African spirituality, and a lot of the different belief systems around the world use laying on of hands to heal, to calm, and to just bring peace to people. So we use the universal energy that's out there. You know, you can call it universal energy, you can call it that God energy, whatever it is that you want to call it. And we just use our hands to bring that to a person and allow it to heal if they need healing, to calm if they need calming, and to even bring awareness to some of the things that may be going on within their bodies that they don't know about. Because oftentimes we don't know that things are out of alignment, or that we may be dealing with some type of past trauma that's causing us to have all this stomach pain, you know. So that is what Reiki does. And I'm excited because I get to bring it to those birthing persons and, you know, to really help them to be in a calm and centered space, because that's very important, especially during that time.
Thank you so much for sharing. And I do remember, I grew up in a religious family laying hands. And that is part of our culture. It's very spiritual. Being a doula is a very intimate relationship. Having that trust and someone to be there to support and guide you. Energy is very important. Stress, I always talk about stress, but studies show what stress does to your health. And it's very, very important to have these different structures to understand how to alleviate stress. As a melanated person, we have a lot of trauma. Now it's being very discussed now about some of the history, but there's so much more. For all people, the elevated levels of cortisol, cardiovascular disease, hypertension, especially in pregnancy. So yes, so being in tune with yourself, Reiki, I always say, I'm trying to get it Reiki. Sarah provides support for that. As a health coach, some people may say, what is a health coach? A health coach, as a certified health coach, we're trained to use motivational interviewing skills to help you identify your personal goals. So through the motivational interviewing process, you identify, oh, okay, this is what I need to focus on. For an example, someone say, I want to lose weight, right? That's very broad. But then after a session, she realized, I want to learn how to swim. And through swimming, she enjoyed it. She lost weight and she reduced her stress. So I also want to shine light on the importance of health coaching. As a certified health coach, what is some information you can share as a certified health coach?
Well, as a health coach, you have to be very careful because just like doula work, there are limitations to what we can do. But we use the information, like Cassie has already stated, that you give to us to help you come up with a plan that works for you. So if you say, I want to get healthier, what does that mean? And we help you to define what that looks like for you and to really narrow down things that you can do in order to help you to reach that goal. So maybe your idea of becoming more healthy is to lose 10 pounds. Okay, so what are we going to do to help you be able to do that? Well, I'm going to walk every day. Okay. So we will do that. Now, as far as nutritional information, we are able to give you, just general things like, yes, you should eat more fruits. Yes, you should eat more vegetables, and things like that. But we're not nutritionists, so we can't give you a specific plan as far as like a meal plan and all of those things. But we are there to guide you and to give you some of the things that work for us and some of the things that may be, good for you based on what research is saying and what is already out there.
Yes, I'm so glad you said that. So Sierra and I, my village sister, I love her. So as certified health coaches, I want to give you information because you may say, well, what is that? Yes, we provide evidence-based information. No, we are not a psychiatrist, a counselor, or a nutritionist, but we provide resources. And I'm so blessed to have a village of sisters that has expertise in different areas. So we will provide you resources to that. But one review for myself is that, and for other health coaches, is that accountability, a listening ear, guide, just as a doula with physical, spiritual, emotional support, a guide, accountability, and access to the resources. We all have contracts that we do not provide. Or a counselor or a nutritionist, but having those resources and knowing who to go to. So we talked about Reiki, we talked about health coaching, we talked about a doula. I also want to shine light because a lot of individuals has been asking about a postpartum doula. So Sierra and I are both provide postpartum support, and this was very important to me with my birth story. I came home with a baby and I was like, oh my gosh. So I want to shine light. So when our village, our community look and say postpartum doula, what is a postpartum doula?
Well, this is a person that's going to support you after your birth. And oftentimes, when we give birth, I know as far as myself, I was completely overwhelmed being a first-time mom. I didn't know what to do. I had never really seen anybody birth a baby or, care for a baby like that because I was an only child, and I didn't have a lot of cousins that were close to my age. None of my friends had children at the time. I was the only one that had a baby. I had a baby first. So here I was with this brand new baby, and my husband was working at the sheriff's department at the time. So he was doing swing shifts. He only got 2 weeks off of work. My mother lives 2.5 hours away, and I was left here, brand new baby, C-section, trying to heal from that, breastfeeding, not knowing how to do it because no one in my family had done it. Other than, I think my grandmother did, but my mom didn't do it, so I didn't know, and she didn't have the information to give me. So a postpartum doula would be that person that's there to support you in those things. If she's not an IBCLC, maybe she can refer you to one if there's something that's outside of her scope of practice, where she can help you to get that information. But we can help with basic latching, making sure that things look okay, and if it's outside of our scope, then we will refer you to someone else. We're also there to provide that additional support. So when you have had a baby and you need help cleaning up, you don't need to be up running around trying to do everything. We will do light housework. We might help you with washing your clothes. We might bring you meals, sit with the baby just so you can take a shower. Yeah. Because, finding time to shower during that time is very, very difficult oftentimes. Some people don't know how to wash a baby. They've never done it before. Some people haven't had experience putting a diaper on their baby, so they don't know how to do it properly. Some people may not know how to wrap the baby and swaddle them. We're there to offer that support as well. And just to really help you start your journey so that you don't feel alone. And give you that information that you need. So if you're having a problem where you're like, I really don't know if this is okay or if I should feel this way, maybe I'm losing too much blood, you can run it by us, and then we can say, well, I think it may be a good idea for you to go back and see your doctor or your provider so that you can kind of ease your mind and let you know that you're okay. So we are always the people to offer support. We never give any medical advice that is outside of our scope of practice. But what we do is make sure that you are okay by answering all the questions that you have to the best of our ability, being there to offer that support. And if it's outside of our scope, we refer you to other people.
Yes, and my village says she hit the nail right on the head. I always emphasize medical support, but we don't. But to those sources that's needed, because after you have a baby, it's a very fragile time, especially if you had a C-section. And as a mother who was in the hospital 6 days and had a C-section, I'm used to being very independent. When I came home, it's a very serious surgery. It was hard for me to walk. It was hard for me to carry my 9-pound, 22-inch long baby. And just preparing meals. And I was so blessed to have a mentor in Africa who really showed me those 40 days after you have your baby is a very intimate healing time, spiritual time, certain foods you're supposed to eat as a herbalist, certain herbs, certain teas. If you are breastfeeding, what are those foods that will assist with producing more milk, allowing you to heal? I lost a lot of blood after having my birth. Those that will increase your iron level. And also stress, once again. Stress will prolong the healing process, and not feeling alone, because for me, depression after delivery, because I thought I could do it on my own, and then the reality was I need help. But bring that village structure back and say the help is there. That's why I love my village to Sierra. If I have a client, I say, wait a minute, because birth workers get tired and we need to lean on each other. That's why I want to explain. Okay, we explained a lot, sis. So we explain what it is. We explain what Reiki is. We explain what health coaching is. We explain what a postpartum doula is. And also, I believe Sierra and I are both fertility doulas. And what is that? That's a topic that's not being discussed. Because a lot of us melanated women are obtaining more degrees and having children later on in life.
Mhm.
So a lot of times the media is not focused on us. But there's a lot of women who look like me who want to have children, but later on in life. So providing those natural remedies and ways of how to increase your fertility. So fertility doulas are there, and you're looking at two right here.
Mhm.
You're passionate in what they do. So Sierra, is there anything you'd like to share as a fertility doula?
Um, I would just say, if you are planning to have children, not just later in life, but in general, it may be a good idea for you to work with someone to make sure that you are healthy, that your partner is healthy, because two healthy people are going to produce a healthy baby. And that's what you want. You want to both be in a good space mentally, spiritually, and physically so that you can have the healthiest baby possible. And I know back when I got pregnant, I was 23 years old. I wasn't really thinking about any of those things. I just
Yeah.
happened to get pregnant and have a baby. And she thankfully is very healthy. But had I known the things that I know now, imagine how much better she could be, or how much better my overall birth may have been if I had taken the time to really do the work to ensure that she was going to be okay. So I think that fertility doulas aren't just for people who are struggling. They can also be for people who just want information on what are the best practices to take care of my body, what can we do to ensure that our baby is going to be healthy, and to ensure that my eggs are good quality,
Yeah.
his sperm is good quality, and all of those things are important because you want healthy eggs, healthy sperm, so you can have healthy babies.
Yes, I'm so glad you shared that. Because as a fertility doula, to sum it up, very simple terminology is to say just to improve your reproductive health,
Mhm.
be able to produce healthy offspring. So from a physical standpoint and also spiritual. So once again, going back to a doula, that physical, emotional, and spiritual support. And one key component is education. I look back over the years and say, wow, I wish I would have known that then. So there
Mhm.
are birth workers out there, different types of doulas that we're explaining now to give you that support so you will be informed, you will know your choices. So I just love my village this year. I love all my village sisters, and there's a lot of us. But we're going to shine light on all our sisters because that's what the village do. We shine light on each other because we all need support, and there's a lot of sisters in the village or gestational individuals. I'm learning to be more inclusive who needs this support. One question I want to ask too, especially right now, there's a lot going on. So a lot of birth workers are tired right now, and I'm one of them. What I'm gonna ask my sis because I have my own opinion. What is that melanated doulas? What type of support do we need right now?
Oh my gosh, that's a very loaded question.
It
We
is.
need so many things. Oh my gosh, if I had to choose just, a couple of things, I would say one, we need more funding so that there can be more of us, so that the ones that are out there do not get overwhelmed and burnt out, because there's so much that needs to be done and we want to help everyone, but we can't. We're only two people. We have doula sisters, and sometimes even brothers that are
Yeah.
out there on the
Yeah.
front lines, and those that are non-binary. And, there are so many people out there that are doing this work. But when you're out there on the front lines and you're trying to do it, it's easy to get burnt out. So we need more of us out there. And one of the biggest barriers is funding, because a lot of these trainings cost money and people don't have the money to do it. So we need the funding so that we can get people in these spaces. And the other thing I would say that we need is to really be able to rely on one another as the village, because again, if I have a client that's due in December and another client happens to go into labor around that same time, I need to be able to pick up the phone and say, hey, Cassie, sis, I need your help, and know that, you know, I'm going to have that help there. So we need the village, we need the funding, and oh my goodness, and we just need to be able to be in these spaces, but it's very difficult right now with COVID going on. There are a lot of barriers to us getting back into these hospitals, and a lot of our birthing persons, gestational persons, are feeling like they have to have home births, which can tie the hands of some of us doulas sometimes, because, you know, some of us are okay with going into home births that are unsupported by midwives. I personally do not do that, but I do know people that do. And just to feel like you're unsafe in going into a hospital is, you know, it's a bad feeling to have. That's where you're supposed to be able to go if you need help. But to feel like you can't go there is very difficult, and it's causing a lot of issues because we're not able to get back into these spaces. So we need access back into the hospitals, and we need our gestational individuals to feel a lot more comfortable with being in these spaces. And the only way they can do that is to have the representation there that they need.
Yes, my sis hit it on the spot. There's a lot going on right now. You may see our smiling faces, but we are warriors in the background. Number one, the funding. Yeah, certifications cost money. Good about. You may have a scholarship, but put into consideration the books, the time, the knowledge, continuing education, the funding to a lot of the clients may not be able to financially afford our services. So financial compensation for our clients. So if you want to support, that is one way to support, is funding. And Village Sisters, that we are out here, we will make sure it's used and goes where it should go, because there's a huge need right now, especially with COVID. But even before, we are 3 to 4 times more likely to die in childbirth. All the different obstacles that are occurring right now. Number two, my sis talked about support. Not only if I have a client and I'm assisting with another delivery and someone else is delivering, but if I'm tired, I can pick up the phone and say, Village Sis, I'm tired, because burnout is real. We have to have that balance of physical, emotional, and spiritual support. Even if I'm with the client and I'm tired at the medical facility, hopefully we'll resolve the access issue, and we'll talk about that soon. But I can call my sis and, you know, financially compensate her for the time that she's there to be with my client. So support for each other. The third thing was access. Right now, it is very important. I have so many people who calls me and tell me, I'm scared to go in a hospital. So once again, stress. If you're very stressed and fearful to go into a medical system to have your child, how is that going to impact your overall birth experience and even your delivery? You're going to be tense. What does stress do to your body? So there needs to be an easier way to have birth workers and doulas who look like us, because representation does matter. Being a doula is a very spiritual and intimate bond. So we need to be there. And there's just so many loops and hurdles we have to go over. We're already tired, and then we have to go through this whole thing. A lot of people don't realize, I'm not sure if my sis experienced, where our village contact us after having a baby or right before and say, I am so scared. So that's the type of relationship we have with our clients and even the community. But we, Sierra and I, as well as our other village sisters, we are about action. Being transparent and telling you that we need your help right now for our gestational village. It's serious, it's real. We need to be in there. Our gestational village, they're scared right now, and we need answers and we need action. So is there anything, sis, you think that other people can do to support?
Just, if you are a gestational person, make sure that you make some noise and let your hospitals know that you want to have access to doulas. Also, if you are in the community and you have any connections, try to reach out to them and see what can be done. Of course, financial support, because as my sis said, we're out here on the front lines, and there are a lot of people that want doulas that can't afford them. Oftentimes, we work for little to nothing if we get paid at all, because I know I've done a lot of births for free. And, we're out here doing 12, 24-hour, 36-hour births sometimes. Trying to help, and it can be very taxing. We need to call in another doula, and who's going to pay that person? So our people need access to doulas. They need access to having doulas in the space that they want to be in, and they shouldn't be forced to feel like they need to go and have a home birth if they're not prepared to do so, just because they don't want to have their baby in the hospital, because that can also be dangerous. You can't just up and have a home birth without preparing for it. And as we know, there's only one midwife that we know of in the area that is able to do that. So that's another need, but we'll have to talk about that at a different time.
Yes. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because right now, with everything's going in the hospital, all these hurdles and obstacles we have to go through to physically be present in the hospital. So a lot of our, the village is saying, I'll just have my baby at home. But I only know of one melanated birth midwife who provides support at home. Even in my contract, and I always say, I am not present unless there is a certified midwife or physician present. Mm-hmm. Different things as an educated a doula that we know could occur, but we're not trained in that area. So we don't want to put you at risk at all. Mm-hmm. So that is, in order to have home births, there's a need there. If there's only one in North Carolina that we know of, some individuals may be deciding to have a home birth only owned by themselves, just with a partner. How, if you're a first-time parent, even if you have multiple kids, what's the risk for that? These discussions need to be held. Mm-hmm. Open spaces, and there's a lot of topics too, like I always, that's uncomfortable, but we have to be comfortable and not uncomfortable, because this is real. Very, very real. And Sierra, I love my sister to death. She's very passionate in the topic, and I am too. So we need your help. We need for you to hold people accountable, especially these medical facilities, and ask questions, because you have a right to. The medical system is there to provide, improve your health and wellness. And this is part of your health and wellness. I am my sister's keeper. I am my village community keeper. We're all God's children, and we need to ask these questions. So one last question. I just love my sister here. What brought you into birth work?
Oh, well, my birth was very, very traumatic, in that I prepared to have this amazing natural birth, and it went so far left that it was crazy. I went into the hospital with a midwife. I did my research. I didn't have a doula because I didn't know anything about doulas at that time. But I ended up being induced when I didn't need to. I was brought to the hospital to be induced and told by a nurse out of her own mouth that I was already in labor, but they still continued with the induction process, which then led to, of course, baby going into distress. Or so they said. I mean, I didn't see anything on the monitor, but then again, that's neither here nor there. And my daughter ended up being face up, head down, and she would not come out for whatever reason. And instead of the midwife trying to turn her, she went and got the doctor and was like, okay, you're having a C-section. That C-section ended up causing me to have a lot more internal scarring because the doctor decided to do some extra surgery while she was in there without my permission. And it led to a 7-year battle with secondary infertility. And after all of it happened, I just remembered thinking, man, if I had someone there who knew what they were doing and who could be there to advocate for me, to let me know that I had other choices, that there were other options, then maybe things would have gone differently. So I sought to become that person. And that's what I've been doing since then. I became a birth doula in 2016. But even before that, I was offering advice on breastfeeding and all of these different things. And now I am trying to help people with infertility. That is very near and dear to my heart. I started a foundation to be able to do that and to help people with that issue. So my passion came from my own issues that I suffered from giving birth. And now, as a doula, I have been able to help other people go through the exact same situation, and none of them have had a C-section. So I think that it was worth it to become a doula, just to be in that space, to see that if you do have the right, team, the right provider, the right nurse, the right, the right doctor and or midwife, that things can be completely different, and you can have a beautiful, natural hospital birth if that's what you desire.
Yes, thank you so much for saying that. Like I told you, I love my sister. She touched on 4 basic things. Number 1, I heard, that you wasn't familiar with the doula. So that's why I come on today to really explain some of this terminology so you know what a doula is, so you know what those other options are for you. Number 2, I hear that a lot of women who look like me do not have positive birth experiences. I was in the hospital 6 days. I was induced. Now I'm more knowledgeable. I didn't have to be induced. Mm-hmm. And also number 3, more women who look like me have cesareans. There's a lot of things due to that. Now, if you medically need a cesarean, I understand. But also imagine being very fearful going into the medical system, all the stress, your body is tense. There's a lot of things involved in that. So a lot of doulas have experiences such as my sister and such as myself. And yeah, just really being passionate what you do and being in that field. And I love to hear more about your foundation. See, I learned so many awesome things about my sisters. But that's very important because right now I'm learning a lot of women, a lot of gestational individuals who look like me, want to have children. Mm-hmm. It's not as easy as wanting to say I want to have children. And one last thing I want to say, I did share a post. I was speaking with one young individual about having a baby, and she has one. Someone said, well, why don't you have another one? You don't know if that young woman had a miscarriage last night. You don't know if that young woman looked at her 15th pregnancy test and it's negative. So just be mindful of the words that you say. I know, it's not intended, no ill intentions, but just be careful and mindful, because speaking with these different individuals or clients or in a community, that really hurt this individual. I'm just here to share some light, shine some light on my sister here, because it truly takes a village. She's amazing. We have some more amazing village sisters, and I want you to see our faces, know our names, and know that we are here. I am Village Sis Doula LLC, and my sis Sierra.
Yes, I am Sierra Bizzell with Beautiful Beginnings Doula.
Yes, so I'm so blessed to be here with you today. You know I love and adore you. Call me and I'll pop right up. So is there anything else you want to say, sis, in closing?
No, in closing, I just want you guys to make sure that you are informed, that you are advocating for yourselves, and that you get a doula. If you can, know that there are people out there that will work with you if you feel like it's a financial issue that may be keeping you from getting a doula. We often work on sliding scales, and some of us will help you for free. So don't let money stop you.
Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned, and I also like bartering. That is some things that some birth workers do as well, because
Mhm.
being a doula is very time intensive, even before the baby's born, with the education, the energy. So compensation in some type of way, but don't let that hinder you from the support that you need. Still reach out and speak with us individually. And also, if you want to support funding, speaking to these facilities, asking questions, holding them accountable. Um, so yeah, so I just want to say peace, love, and light, and thank you so much, Sis, for your time again. And you have business contacts, so feel free to reach out to us. We're here for you as part of the village. Peace, love, and light. Bye.